Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited that you all have come back for episode 2 of The Mental Spot, where men talk about life, love, and leaving the toilet seat up. And again, we are going to give just a second and give you all a chance to jump on here and invite your followers to join us as well. How's everybody doing? If you can hear me and you can see me, please type a comment in. Yes, Miss Kanique. You are the first viewer. Hello, hello. How are you? Now I don't have a prize, but I'm gonna remember that so that I can come back and make sure that I do. Hey, Nyron, how you doing? Thank you guys for coming back. Last week we had such a great time, a great episode, and I'm excited to bring that same vibe back this week with our special guest. Welcome, everyone. Oh, it's good to see everyone coming on. I'm actually going to hop on here myself so that I can make sure that everything is up and running correctly. Yes, yes, yes. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Mental Spot. Tonight's conversation, again, we are going to be talking with a special guest about being the father of a special needs son. And just let's talk through that, right? Being an African-American man raising an African-American son, special needs, who is autistic, and it is Autism Awareness Month. So I thought that this would be a great opportunity to bring some awareness to that. And we're also going to talk about the work that this man is doing in the community, the awesome work. And then we're going to step into a little bit of course, the love portion, right? And talk about men and making the choice to take that next step and why you have to be a little cautious and get a man's point of view. So again, I'm so excited to have you all here with me again tonight. Before we get started, for those who may be new to the show or may not be familiar with who I am, my name is Coach Shaquan. I am a certified relationship coach and a professional speaker. As a transformational speaker, it's more than motivation, it's more than inspiration. It's truly making a transformation, transforming you into a new person, into a new thought pattern. My company is PRT Coaching Services. We are a life and relationship expert firm. We focus on teaching self-awareness strategies and mindset tools to help people, men and women, become the leaders in the life that they choose to live. So you're like, okay, Coach, what does all of that mean? It means that you're a leader. You're a leader in your professional lives, in your personal lives. And oftentimes we sometimes don't see ourselves as such, and we get stuck in a place of being lost within ourselves or kind of going along with the flow, or being confused between who we were, who we are, and who we desire to be. And so through some very unique tools that I have developed, again, professional training, experience I've done with my clients, have done very well in this area of teaching people how to build better relationships with themselves. And so I am super excited to bring to you the brainchild that I had a couple of years ago called The Mental Spot. I've had very high success rate in dealing with men. You know, at one point, it was nothing but men who were reaching out to me, husbands or men in relationships, and wanting to work with me and wanting me to help them to fix or help them through the challenges and struggles that they were having in their relationships. And so when I really started seeing what this pattern was and really recognizing that men do want to have this conversation, I wrote it on my board, right? And kind of looked, what can I do with this? And it was dropped into my spirit, the mental spot, right? And I started a Facebook group, and it was about stimulating the minds, really getting men to be open and comfortable, even though I'm a little shaky on that word comfortable, talking about maybe uncomfortable topics, right? And it went well. I found that there was a need for that, and had a very good way of connecting with men where they didn't feel judged or rejected, and kind of put it on the shelf for a little bit. And eventually now I'm picking it back up and again bringing this to you. I have some amazing guests who have been willing to come with me on a live show and really talk about some different topics. So Before we go any further, again, if you can see me and hear me, if you have not done so already, please let me know that you are out here, because we're getting ready to bring our guests for this week on, so that we can get into this deep conversation. Y'all, this is going to be good. I'm so excited about this right here. So, again, we are talking about, I want to open up here in just a second, because Mama's multitasking here, so just making sure that we're doing everything correctly as I'm getting my things set up here. So bear with me for just a moment. All right. So let me go ahead and bring on our guest for this evening, and I will allow him the opportunity to share the story. When we were talking about it and how we met, he kind of had a version, I had a version, so I'm excited to get him on here. So you guys, please help me welcome Mr. Cory Johnson to the Mental Spot. Hello, Cory.
Hello, ma'am. How are you? It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Good to be seen. Ain't that what they say? Good to be seen. So, Cory, we have some things to talk about. So first, yes, go ahead, introduce yourselves.
I'm Cory Johnson. Founded the Cory Johnson Foundation. I'm a father, lover. I do a lot of things. And most of all, I want to thank Shaquan for opening up my eyes about some things about myself. And me and my significant other, we need some counseling at one point in time, and we recruited some the services of Coach Shaquan. And that story will lead you to it.
Right. So let me tell you how it happened, how it went down, right? So I had a business meeting with his significant other, and we were I was sharing with her what I did and who my clients were, and she was really giving me some great resources and some people to connect with. And she said, you know what? I sure would like for you to sit down with, I would love for my boyfriend and I to come talk with you. And she's like, but I'm not sure if he would really be open to it. She's like, let me talk to him and see what he says. I'm like, sure, we can, sit down. I would love to meet him, share more about who I am, what I do, and all this, this stuff. Now, mind you, this was early on. I have been doing this professionally for 5 years. So this is probably maybe 4 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And so I got the phone call, and she's like, okay, he said he was open. And I'm like, all right. And this is when I was meeting clients at the Starbucks. And so I remember we come into the Starbucks, and I was nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope that, I do a good job. I hope that he, kind of sees that I'm not here to judge or point fingers. It's really, here to help, see how I can help. And we sat down, we had great conversation, and Cory was very open in sharing some of the challenges that he felt he was having, and which direction that they both wanted the relationship to go in, and how I could step in and really help there. And y'all, at the end of this, we talked for maybe 45 minutes or so. At the end, he pulls out, now this is a testimony, seriously, he pulls out his checkbook, writes me a check, and was like, look, now mind you, this was an initial complimentary session, right? And he's just like, look, I just want to let you know that what you've done today, this was so good. It's been so valuable. You opened my eyes to some things. I have to pay you. I have to compensate you for your time and your services. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. And he's like, no. So that to me was a really big deal, to meet with a client for the very first time, for a man, right, who had never met me before, had never heard of me before. And after 30, 45 minutes, literally no, I know that this was supposed to be complimentary. I'm getting ready to write you a check for your time. I was like, oh, Lord, Mama, I think I done it. I think I made it. So that is how our relationship began, and we did go ahead and continue with the working relationship. So Cory and his significant other are former clients of mine, and Cory has been very much an advocate of Coach Shaquan and the work that I do, and I really appreciate you for trusting me with your truth and doing the work. I'm really proud of you.
Right. And if it wasn't for that consultation at that point, because that actually helped me open up, as far as seeing things a little different, open up to new ideas, and stop being content. I think, and we talked about one word that I stop people all the time now is the word try. We talked about that, right? We use the words, right? See, I
Yes.
like that. Hey, it's one thing for real. I really do. I love being around people that I could take stuff away from. I don't like being around, as they say sometimes, I don't like being the smartest person in the room. I want to be around people that help, that elevate me. And, you know, you said that day that it was the first time me and you had met or whatever the case may be, but I value people's time.
Yeah.
And I felt as if I'm going to a doctor or wherever I'm going to have to pay anyway. So why not pay you for your time?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like that was a really, really big deal. Really big deal. So that's how we met. That's how we got here. And again, Cory and I have been I've had the pleasure and again very humbled for you trusting me and us still having some conversation throughout the years. And again, just really proud of you, just proud of you. So let's jump into our topics for this evening. The first thing I would love to start with is talking about your role as a father and specifically being that your son has autism. So tell us how that, just how did you initially get the diagnosis or how did you feel? Just take us through that part of the journey.
Oh man, it was, you know, when Cory was born, of course, most men, when they're having a son, they have this vision of what they want to teach them or what they want to do with their son and all this stuff, you know, different things that they would like to do with them. Yeah. And, you know, when your son's born, it's like, oh man, this is him, this little man, this is what we're going to do. We have this picture in our head again of perfect. And I would say around 2 or 3, I started noticing that Cory wasn't engaging other kids. He was kind of a loner. He didn't talk too much. I remember Cory used to take this tennis racket everywhere he went. It was kind of like the little guy on that he used to take a blanket everywhere. I think they called him. I forgot what it was.
Was that Linus? Was that Linus?
I think so. So you take a blanket. That's how Cory used to walk around with a tennis racket all the time, right? I'm like, give me this tennis racket. But he was a kid, and I wanted him to be a kid. But at the same time, Cory wasn't developing. He wasn't talking. He was doing certain things different. And you know when something's wrong, but you don't want to face it.
Yeah.
And at that time, his mom had been something like this before in a previous with a previous child she has. Mm-hmm. And she told me no. She said, no, it's nothing wrong. Everything is okay. And I believed her. You know, I believe, well, she knows what she's talking about. She's been here before. Mm-hmm. And so I think he was around 3 years old or 4, 3 or 4. And we went to the doctor, and it had been bothering me so much that I asked the doctor at this point in time, I said, hey, do you think something's wrong? And she said, well, you know, I was going to have this conversation with you, but I wanted to do one more test before I actually made suggestions to you. She said, I want to get Cory a Down-9 test. A Down-9 test it tests your cognitive skills. It tests a lot of different things with kids and little basic things, colors, numbers, little bitty things. Right. So I wound up setting up not a consultation, but the test for him at the special school district. And we wind up going up there, and about, I would say at that point in time, they told me that Cory had a developmental delay, which a developmental delay is so broad. It could be so many things. I mean, you know, you just want to look kid, and no matter what, I'm going to protect them. It's my duty to. So when they told me that, I was more so like, okay, so at least we're getting somewhere. Of course, it's not it's not what I really want to hear, but okay, at least I know I'm not losing it.
Right.
So Cory, that was in, let's say, I think that was like in August. Around in August sometime. So Cory started school, the beginning of the school year in September, and they went about until October, somewhere up in there. And they called me and his mom in, and we did a evaluation. They had enough to actually make a diagnosis, but the way they did it made everything feel it was a bittersweet feeling because they called in everybody. I mean, they were so supportive with this. They've done it before. They called in. I know a young lady. Her name is Sarah. I won't tell her last name, but they called her in. She was the speech pathologist. They called in the bus company. They called the principal, vice principal, teachers, and teachers that they wanted to send Cory to another school because they felt as if Cory would get more help there.
Right.
So we wound up making a decision at that point to send him to a different school. At that point in time, Cory was not talking. Cory was not doing anything. And this lady named Sarah, she assured me, Cory, I promise you, if you put him in my program, I promise you I'll have him talking. I promise you.
So what does that do to you as a man to know? And you mentioned earlier, when you started, like, okay, so this is it's your first. It was your first son. You had a daughter, and so you had experienced parenthood before. To have your son, though, what does that do to you? Especially, and let's just tell the truth. Being Black, right? We don't really like to. That's not our thing. What does that do to you, or what did that do for you?
It was devastating at one point in time. It really was. It hit me like a ton of bricks to finally. You have people in your family that don't understand certain things. They make comments, little sly comments, and you get protective. I had family actually talking about Cory at one point in time that were questioning, but didn't ask me, but would ask other people. And when it comes around and you hear about it, it kind of hurts your feelings because you would think that, hey, why are you talking about him instead of just asking me? Just ask me the question. Ask me what's wrong with him. And at that point in time, I was really in denial. I felt like I didn't have anybody to talk to about this and be honest with at that point in time. And it wasn't until my grandmother called me and asked me, hey, listen, everybody's asking me what's going on. And finally, it was like enough to vent out all of these feelings that I had and be very vulnerable about what was going on. Yeah. And I thanked her forever about that because that helped me free myself enough to allow myself to get Cory the help that he needed.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that story. And I believe that through sharing and letting people know that, it's not a color, it's a special needs. And sometimes we need to be courageous enough to ask professionals those questions. And, if we're thinking about that from the sense of across the board, right? If you feel like, and something in your intuition with your children or even with yourself, if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't look right, ask those questions for sure. So I did a little research and found a site talk about curing autism. And here's the website here. Do you have any additional websites or resources that people can go to learn more about autism, or if they want to support?
It's, now you can get online and now they say spectrum. They're putting kids on the spectrum now. At one point in time, it was ASD. They keep changing this and they're making it so broad now to where it's now when they diagnose your kid and say that he has ADD, he's under the spectrum at this point now. So it covers more ground. It's real broad, but it's a lot of local places that we deal with when it comes to Cory, and I can give you those. I have them actually in an email I can send to you. Sure. That way, just tag it to this.
Awesome. And then I had another resource for autism awareness resource. A very good friend of mine she has triplets, and one of her sons has autism, and she started an organization called hatchinghope.org. So there's another resource there for people and she really talks to people who are in underserved communities. So again, if you're out there, if you know someone, please read up on the signs of autism, and let's be courageous enough to have those conversations with professionals so that we can do justice to our children. And Cory, thanks on that part of the story for being courageous enough to take that step. So
It's one,
I
it's one
want
thing I did. I did want to. I didn't mean to cut you off, but we made we were planning on doing a docuseries about autism. I actually have a video about this whole story, about my whole story I went through. It's actually on YouTube.
Okay.
It's called Autism. It's not Autism Talks. Because Autism Talks is its own thing. Yeah. If you look up Cory Johnson Foundation and look up autism, it will pop right back up.
Okay. And that's on YouTube, correct?
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. All right. So let's switch gears here. Tell me how then that leads to, or if it's related, I want to talk about your foundation and what you do. Tell us about the Cory Johnson Foundation and what it means, how it started, and just what is it about?
Cory Johnson Foundation, the mission is to teach children the importance of philanthropy by giving and receiving. I started flirting with this idea probably in 2009. Wanted to do something with the community, wanted to somehow, some way. And I wound up coming up with a concept because of a doctor that I used to talk to all the time named Anjum Hassan. She planted this seed in my mind, and I didn't understand what was going on at the time. But I learned later what she did. We were in our office one day and we were talking about things and what's going on. And she told me, she was like, Cory, it's cool what you're doing, but I would like you to do more stuff for children in your community. And no matter what I did after that, I started a mobile detail service. I tried a lot of different entrepreneurships that, just didn't pan out. But this idea kept coming up and it kept hitting me and it kept telling me it was something that was in me that was like, look, you have to do something. And in 2009, I had canned bowl, believe it or not, where children could bring 3 non-perishable food items and bowl for 4 hours long, which is pretty expensive. So that first time we did it, I partnered with Olivet Lanes, and we did it. We did a really good job. We serviced a couple of kids. I gave out a couple of backpacks, and at the very end of it, again, I was flirting with it, and this is how God move you sometimes. He give you a test run. And I didn't have all the answers. I didn't have all the pieces. I didn't have anything. I was just going by gut feeling. And at the very end, a guy walks up to me and says, hey, what you going to do with the non-perishable food items? He says, I said, well, I was going to donate it to a food bank. He said, well, I work at Haven of Grace. Can I take them with me? I said, absolutely, take them. So that whole little thing, it started something. So the next year I went back to the bowling alley and told them about it. And they, of course, jacked the price up on me. So I was like, well, I can't have bowling. Bowling is a little bit too expensive. And so I thought about skating. I called Skate King. And at that time, I didn't have my 501c3. So I told them, they were like, well, you need to be a you need to have that 501c3 before we even mess with you. So I went down and I talked to this man named Mr. Everett down at St. Nick's skating ring. Mm-hmm. And I went down there and I told him exactly what I wanted to do. I said, listen, I would like to do a community event. I want children to come in and their parents to pay with non-perishable food items as an admission fee. They come in, you're going to give them a backpack at the end of school, at the end of the event. He says, Mr. Johnson, I've never heard of anything like this. We're a nonprofit and we're going to help you. Right. So I didn't anticipate that. So that very first year, he wound up working with me and had the price right. So we wound up having our first back to school event there.
Yeah.
What I did was I asked people that I knew to donate bags and school supplies. That very first year, we collected 56 bags and some other little items, to just give away to the kids that attended. We
Yeah.
probably had maybe 30, maybe 40 kids to attend, and we were able to bless them with backpacks and school supplies at the end of the event. So that was year one.
Yes.
But I didn't realize, again, that the seed had been planted. Now it's starting to grow. It's being watered. It's coming out that ground. So what happened the second year is that, of course, a couple more people, seeing how passionate I was about it, they wanted to donate. So, of course, I repeated the cycle again and wanted to do it again, and we did. Same thing. Of course, I may have had 100, and I think it was 125 bags that year.
Right.
And then, then things just started really just coming from everywhere. I was aiming to get my 501c3. All right. I had approached a couple of people to help me do it. And of course, they were talking $1,000 and $1,500 to do it. Right. But again, when I tell you how things work themselves out, and when you just keep on course, how things always. It was a Saturday, and I'll never forget. A guy called me that was doing. He was doing some concerts, fundraisers for himself. And he's blind. He's legally blind.
Mm-hmm.
He calls me and we were talking and he was like, hey, what's this thing I heard about, what you're doing and all this type of stuff. So I told him what I was aiming to do. I said, look, I'm aiming to get my 501c3, man, but it's taking me a long time. And plus I got to save the money to get it done. He said, wait a minute. He had someone click over for him and they call his number, put me on three-way with this lady. Okay. She said, yeah, just have him call me Monday morning. So, I'm telling her what I do or whatever. She was like, yeah, just give me a call Monday. No big deal. I called Monday and set up the appointment, not knowing where I was going. So at the end of the conversation with her, and I set the appointment with her and everything, she worked for Washington University Law School. They helped me get my C3 for absolutely nothing. They walked me through that whole paperwork.
Of course, yes. Well, that just speaks volumes of the passion and what you have for the foundation and the work that you all are doing. And like you said, planted the seed from the beginning. What just in general makes you so passionate about being in the position? Here you are, you have the opportunity, you have children of your own. How do you just kind of handle that piece of being so passionate about the community and giving back?
I tell you, it's something that you have got to experience. That when you give something to someone or provide a service to someone and you doing it because this is what you want to do, you have, and even with you, I'm sure you've given them your time, give them your service, and you see how that helps them.
Right.
How do you feel when that happens?
Oh, it feels amazing, and it's about being in a place of service, right?
Right. And so it's a feeling when I'm doing these things, it's a feeling of that and a lot more to whereas I can't describe. It's like, I don't know how to describe this passion because I'm so passionate about it. I want to be part of the solution. I'm seeing too many since I've been, since I was younger. I started losing people at 12 years old. So, of course, you start losing people to violence. You start seeing things. You start putting things in perspective, and it's like, what? Am I going to be part of the solution or I'm going to be part of the problem? It's just that simple. Absolutely. And so I chose to be part of the solution, and doing that and making change and really making that change and committing to it, everything has opened up. And when it opens up, I'm not afraid to share. I'm not that type of person or organization that will not share anything that I have. If a person has a need, I don't care if you live in Wentzville, I will make sure that you get it if you really need it.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for sharing those. And I also want to make people know that you have you've poured a lot into this. And I don't know that we always give enough credit to our men, especially men in our community, for the work that they do outside of their home. Again, we talked earlier, you have you have a special needs child, a son, and you have an older daughter that you're raising, and now you have a younger daughter. So, you're a
Right.
father, and now you're a community leader, and it really takes a lot to be in that position. So I want you all to look here. Here's your website to find out more about the Cory Johnson Foundation. And you guys, if you are looking to make a charitable donation or a sponsorship, again, he has the annual Can Skate. It's a back to school event. You can find more about that on the website. And he also has an event called Cory's Kids Community Garden, which is coming up soon here, right?
It's actually, we had to change the date. The lady that was going to show us how to do gardening, because I'm not a green thumb.
Yeah.
As she had a death in the family, so we pushed it back to April 21st.
Okay.
We're going to plant tomatoes. We're going to plant a whole lot of different fruits and vegetables, and teach children about clean, healthy eating. And actually, this is something that's going to help me eat a lot better. And it's a plan behind this. Hopefully, everything goes right, and we get this thing going. And I would say in the next couple of years, we want to expand this program. So whereas we're going to get more lots, and we're going to do a lot more to service elderly in our community, we're going to give these vegetables and fruits away. We're not going to charge anybody anything. But what I'm aiming to do futuristically is create jobs, hopefully through this.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just, again, a testament of who you are, what you do. This is my line, right? Who you are, what you do, who you serve, and your why. And we appreciate you for that. And that's here in the St. Louis community. And again, hopefully giving other men who have a passion to give back and not use the excuse, oh, I'm busy, I got family, and I have this. No, this man right here, you all, is really big in doing a lot of things and making a lot of connections. So if you so feel moved, please, here's the information for his website. Go to CoryJFoundation.org. And again, we talked about his annual Can Skate backpack event. So it's not too early, right? If you have any donations, he's taking those now. And we really want to be able to support you in all that you do in the community. So
I appreciate
for those of us who are just joining, again, you are inside the mental spot. This is where men talk about life, love, and leaving the toilet seat up. I am Coach Shaquan, certified relationship coach. And today our guest is Mr. Cory Johnson. He's the founder and president of the Cory Johnson Foundation, which he just shared information with us about that. So again, we've talked about the life portion, talked about you being a father, talked about, we are celebrating or taking time to recognize that it is Autism Awareness Month. So we talked about that journey there. We talked about, again, you being a community leader and going through that. And so now let's get to the topic of love.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah. So let me ask you, who taught you about love? Where did you first learn how to be in love?
Oh man, actually, I was never taught, and that's the big problem with a lot of men. We're not taught how to be in love. It's just we react to it when we kind of feel it. I guess I don't know, and you wind up you're gonna make some mistakes. That's for sure. Yeah. But I can't really say nobody really taught me about it. You know what I mean. Listen to your friends; they're gonna always steer you wrong. I'll tell you that now. I can tell you stories about lies, about lies and just craziness when it comes to listen to your friends. Yeah. So overall, it's been a journey.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I think that we don't take that into consideration, that you really do just learn as you go and learn from what you see and kind of mimic and mock everything. So let's talk about how men get into relationships, and the expectation is after dating for so long. So let me just ask you this: is there like in a man's mind, is there like, okay, you have to date for X amount of time before you take it to that next level, or how do you determine when it's time to make that shift?
I can't speak for all men. I can only speak for myself. It's when you're ready, and I can also say that for most men, from what I understand, when they made that transition, and some of them were like, man, I had to be with her this long in order to do this because I wanted to make sure she was the one, you
Yeah.
know. And again, I've heard men get married. It's just, I mean, just 2 months later and been together forever. They just did it, you know. I guess they felt that feeling, which is a great thing. Um, Me myself, it's one of those things to where I want to make sure it's the right person. It's
Yeah.
just that's just that simple.
Yeah, yeah. I always say that, and I'm gonna step in and drop a couple dimes real quick, a couple gems on Coach Shaquan list, right? So
Come on.
I think that there are 3 reasons why people get married when they have doubt, right? Because there's always this little place of hesitation that happens, and I think that this happens across the board, right? The first one
Right.
is they think they can change him or her, right? You get into
Right.
everybody gets married thinking I can make that change. I can make them change, right? And
Right.
okay, the second one is they think that he or she will change. Like, oh, they'll change once we get married. Once we, now we're just boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever. They'll change. I think that people think that marriage just has like this magical. All of a sudden, we're married and things just get better, or it makes the person change, and it doesn't. And then the third one is they think they can deal with it. They think they can deal with it. And I'll tell you what, and let's ask our people out here watching if you agree with any of these. Again, 3 reasons why people get married with that doubt. They think they can change the other person, right? Him or her. They think that he or she, their partner, will change. Or that third one, they think they can deal with it. I'm going to tell all of my truth, right? Okay, all of my truth is my hand. I'm telling the truth. I was a number 3, right? I thought that I could deal with it. The things that I had, they weren't doubt like, is this the right person? It was how is it going to look going forward? And so, you're in a relationship now, and that caution, that place, like what else goes into what else could we add to this list? Like, and again, let's be clear, not doubt about the person, just in general. I think that there is a piece of all of us that feels like, okay, we're going to take a big step. So that just place of caution. What else would you add to this list?
Oh man, I would ask, from a man's point of view, it's the uncertainty of why. Like you said, they can deal with it, but it's like, I don't know. Is this it's a security thing? I think it's more so security as well. So it's a fine line, man. It's just, oh man, it's scary because you're doing something that you've never done before. You're going from girlfriend, boyfriend, free willy to totally committed. And for a lot of men, we haven't been taught commitment. We haven't been taught.
That is a good point. And so you kind of go into it blind, right?
And when we go into this commitment and making a total commitment like this, and we never have before, it's a scary place when we don't have the example outside the door who's done it before and who's willing to talk to us and let us know. A lot of us are winging it, and that's really, it takes a very, very brave person to do that,
Yeah.
And I must say, for a lot of us, when we get to that point, we just do it, jump in, do it. And of course, we still have our reservations. We're like, oh my God, I don't know, we'll get cold feet or whatever the case may be. But I really think that's one of the things I would add to it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. What about the example or something that I've heard men say is, I haven't seen any successful marriages around me, so I don't know if it's the right thing. I'm air quoting right, like it's not the right thing to do.
I think it just depends on where you're looking. I know it's some successful relationship. That's a blanket statement, so I can't. I hear it too. I'm like, yeah, I hear it too. And it's more so of, okay, so you look at their marriage. Of course, no marriage is perfect.
Right.
No relationship is perfect. It takes work. And I think a lot of times people get content, lazy in their relationships, and it goes into another area. And I don't want to look at someone who's lazy in their relationship and be like, okay, man, look at this. Wow. I don't think I want to do that because it's scary. But if you look at some of the people that have been married for a very long time, talk to them, get some advice. I would go that route. I would definitely talk to some people that have been married for a very long time.
Yeah. Now, here's the caveat to that, though. There are people, and our guest on episode 1 talked about this too, where there was a man that, not this example was just absolutely crazy to me, that he was at a funeral for the man's wife had passed, and people were just giving him condolences and everything, and he was just kind of like relieved because they had been married for so long, doing the same things, and they were pretty much waiting on one person to die, and so I think that it is. Now I tell you, every time I hear that story, it hurts my heart. I wonder though if, again, going back to those reasons, like we jump into, or men and women really. So as a woman, I'll say this: I had not gotten to the point before we got married where I felt like, oh, I'm ready to get married. When is he gonna pop the question and really put pressure on? I never got to that point. He proposed before we got there. How do you fight off that pressure, or how do men what is that pressure about? Does the pressure make a man go ahead and make that transition and make that shift and pop the question?
Some it does, and others it really repels them, because it's like, listen, when I'm ready to do this, I'm going to do it, and it's not necessarily on their terms. It's just that for whatever reason, it could be the fact of that he may be really questioning his relationship with you and just not telling you. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of times why. I mean, but it could be some other stuff. It could be you guys are having problems. You guys are going through some things. And of course, you've been together for a while, but you have some things that you really need to iron out before you take this next commitment, this next step. And I'm saying not necessarily that you're not going to have problems when you get married. I'm not saying that, but Absolutely. These problems can really keep some things from happening. Communication. If you're not communicating, why would you go get married?
Exactly. Exactly. I think that a lot of the point about longevity, just being, I always say longevity is not a reason like, okay, we've been together for X amount of years, so the next step is to get married. There are some very underlining and deeper things that are in there. And I'm an advocate for marriage, right? I still also believe that that we should not treat marriage as if it's a in and out thing. Like, let me get into it and see how it works out. And then when it doesn't, then we can jump ship. So that place of caution is very, very, very important. I don't know that we always give men enough consideration in that. Now, on the same accord, right? Is it more, or what fears are in that? Because sometimes we can mask it like it's caution and it's that. What other fears do you think that men have about taking that next step from being boyfriend to husband?
I think it could be a couple. One, it could be that he has baggage. He's carrying from his, a lot of men, let's just be honest, they have a lot of mother issues when it comes to their mom or whatever the case may be. And I can tell you my truth. My truth is that I have that. And until I correct these issues, I'm going to carry that. And I carried it for a very long time until I corrected that issue. Now, those issues, believe it or not, precipitate out into your relationship.
Oh, absolutely.
You're gonna wind up different, or watching her, or doing little bitty things that she didn't do. You're gonna make her feel uncomfortable. And for a lot of men, we push a lot of women away because of that. Yeah. They're great women. We just haven't developed that. We haven't taken care of that.
Yeah, and some don't even know that it's an issue, or that it's a challenge or a block, and why they aren't able to take that next step. And as the woman, we don't see what's wrong, right? We don't know, because sometimes men, so if you don't know, then you can't tell her, what the challenge is. And so as the woman, you're just thinking like, okay, well, what's the deal? Like everything seems perfect. We've been together X amount of years. We both want to get married. We do this. So what would be the issue? So like at what point did you say, okay, I need to look back and see relationship wise, and how did that come about with you recognizing that the relationship with your mother had some impact on how you were showing up in your relationship?
When you have to do self inventory, man. When especially if you've been in a relationship or two, and a person tells you the same thing, or that person's kind of said the same thing, you kind of need to visit that. You kind of need to say, well, is there a point to this? So when you take a step back and do some inventory and realize, like, you know what, they're right. You know, this is that I need to fix, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to move forward in any relationship, whether it be this one or the next one or whatever the point, whatever relationship I wind up getting myself in next. If I'm not fixed, nothing's going nothing's going to work.
Yeah,
and it took me a while, Shaquan, to realize that, even when I knew it, I still didn't. You still didn't want to accept it. It's like, that ain't it. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was. That was an issue.
That's that. It takes one of the things I'd love to say, and I heard someone dropped this gem a couple years ago. It takes courage to be honest with yourself about yourself. And so the fact that you can say, hey, I recognize that this was an issue, this is where it stems from, this is what makes me not want to jump or dive into anything, because I want to make sure that I am that I'm coming correct and I'm not bringing all of my baggage and everything. One of the comments I want to read down here, Pamela says, pressure can make a man respond, but either way, if it's not his timing and choice, popping the question won't create security and or a healthy marriage, which is absolutely correct. And I think that we need to, again, as women, we need to consider that. And also then another one here is by Melody. She says, men don't commit as quick, and it's an option to have part of that. And I think that men do have more options. And, now I got to step, and kind of be an advocate for the women here. How long am I supposed to wait for you as the man to get everything out? I know you want to be a provider. I know you want to have security. I know you want to have everything to the table. And I mean, I'm in a place now where I understand that there's a lot more fears that are related to that. As a woman, how long am I supposed to wait for a man to be ready?
Mm-hmm. And that's a very good question, and a very good, I totally get it. I'm not ever going to battle anyone who feels that way. And how long am I supposed to wait? But they always have good things coming to wait. I'm just joking.
Now look, I didn't let you get away with a lot of these butts, but Coach ain't finna let you get away with all these butts now.
Hey, you know what? I know. And I'm not going to make any excuse. I'm really not. I mean, when you're ready to do it, you're going to know. A man will do it. Whether it's 2 days or 10 years, he's going to do it. And when the time is ready, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. And even myself, and I'll speak to myself, I'm going to do it. I know I'm going to do it. I'm not. I've had that conversation many times, and believe me, she's going to be happy. Trust me.
Yeah, you hear that? I know who she is. So I'm guess you hear that, child. He said it. You heard it here. He said he gonna be Coach gonna be on. Right. Gonna be in his ear like, okay, now what we doing?
When I put it out there, I highly, you know how I am, dude. Hold me accountable. I'm good with that.
Yeah, you are. You absolutely are. I love it. So then let's ask one last question, and I'm going to go into our final segment, which is about leaving the toilet seat up. Which is just a quick round of questions, little random questions that Coach has on her mind. What do you think, or on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, I love those scaling questions. How valuable is it for men who are in relationships and considering marriage to surround themselves or get mentored by other married men? And now, when I say married men, I mean, married men who
Committed.
are truly committed and really believe in the foundation of what the Bible speaks about marriage and husband and wives?
I would say 4.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, yeah. And there are men out there, and this is, what the mental spot is about, and really giving people the opportunity to see that there are men out here who are open to having the conversation about relationships and marriage, and they really do want someone to talk to and really have that option to say, hey, how can you mentor me, just as we mentor children or that we mentor each other in business. There is a mentorship that happens with marriage. And if you are a man that you feel like you're unsure, you haven't had any examples of healthy relationships, there may be some challenges that are happening in your marriage, you have some doubt. We talked about these the 3 reasons why people get married with doubt. If there's anything that's out there, please, right, find someone to have a conversation with, because there is no excuse or no reason for you to be in a position where you're cautious and you're sticking in there and you're not surrounding yourself with someone that can help you to uncover those things that may be having you stuck. And feeling as if taking that transition just isn't the thing for you to do, right? Because otherwise, then
What
why
are
be
you
in a
doing?
relationship? Yeah, what are you doing? Absolutely, absolutely. I have one other comment here that I wanted to read. Pamela also says, the thing is, women, we have to learn to be comfortable and sure of themselves enough to walk away. Yes, absolutely, you do. You do. And
And your Pam, I got props on it. She right, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. Yeah, you do. It's tough because you really get into that position where you're like, okay, well, I don't know. Like, again, we've been in this so long. He says he's this. You really have to know that and really have those great conversations about again what your goals are. Make sure you're goal setting, making sure that you all have those same types of goals. And in any situation, still be respectful of the man wanting to not. If you're working on this stuff and you're like, okay, but you don't see any change, that's
Right.
different. If you see some change and you see some transition and you really see their heart, then absolutely there's some grace that's given there for that transition time. So yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that information. As I said, and again, thank you all for who are watching. We are in the mental spot where men talk about life, love, and leaving the toilet seat up. We've talked with Cory Johnson, who is founder and president of the Cory Johnson Foundation. Cory's talked to us about his experience and his journey with his son being diagnosed with autism. Again, we are in Autism Awareness Month and wanting to recognize that. We talked with Cory also about his foundation, which is the Cory Johnson Foundation. And you all please visit his website for opportunities to partner with him and to sponsor someone through his organization and the youth in there. And I want to talk about, again, leaving the toilet seat up. So this is the part, and now this is a metaphor really for being vulnerable enough to say what's on your heart and to really have a platform to speak your truth. If I come to your house right now, is your toilet seat up or down?
Oh man, let me see. It's probably up. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's probably up.
Why, Lord? Why?
Oh man, hey, I'm being honest with you. It's probably up, and I know better. That's the thing. I know better.
No, it's just a joke here. So tell us, when is the last time you cried?
Oh man, probably about a week ago.
Yep.
Probably about a week ago.
Yeah. What is your greatest fear about being a father?
Not being present.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. I love it. And why do you think men don't value being in a committed relationship? Some men.
So I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's examples, keeping up with what everybody else is doing,
Mhm.
and probably just insecure themselves.
Yeah. 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 I love it. I got a comment here that I definitely wanted. This could be a good question for both of us. Erica says, what do you do when your mate has given up on themselves and you continue to thrive as an individual?
You keep thriving. You cannot. People have to step their game up around you. If they don't step their game up, it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, another thing is that for a woman, Miss Erica, you have to know your worth, right?
Right.
And being able to know what you're worth and know that your partner sees that value in you. Now, it's normal for people to get to a point where they lose themselves. So that's different from giving up. So I do this whole thing on energy, and I know Cory, you know about the energy, and I talk about
Anabolic energy.
yeah. Somebody get this client a star. Yes, yes. And I know that I have some other past clients that are on here, or people who have been to any of my workshops. I always talk about energy and the two types of energy. And Erica definitely, when you are with someone who is in a very draining and destructive mindset, and you are not there, it is definitely going to affect you. And so love yourself enough to know when it is time to let go. It's the best thing that I can say. Love yourself enough to know when it's time to get to let go. And you can't be the helper, healer, fixer of everyone, and you can't make someone see the value in themselves. So sometimes you have to let it go. And if it's meant to be, it'll come back to you. And if not, then make yourself available for someone who sees the value in what you have and what you offer. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So we have come to the part where, again, I want to put up Cory's information, CoryJFoundation.org. Please, please, please visit and find out more about what he's doing in the community. I also want to, again, encourage you, if you're looking for an organization to donate to, any amount is valuable, any amount helps. And so we want to definitely put that out there for Cory to go to CoryJFoundation.org. And I also want to share with you again, we didn't talk much about this, but let's talk about that check your BS, right? For those of you that are familiar with me and have done any work with me, you know, I'm big on check your BS, where BS stands for belief system, or whatever has you stuck in a pattern of thinking or a way of doing things that's not allowing you to reach your goals. And to find out more, please join the movement at checkyourbs.com. Yes, yes, yes. And I also, for the young lady Erica that just put the comment out here, go there. It'll explain more about energy and more of what you can do in that space and understanding that. Let me bring Cory back up here. I want to also highlight.
What happened? If you see me, I don't see you.
Yay, here I am. You back?
Okay, there we go.
Yes.
I see you now.
Yes. Yep, so I just wanted to highlight more of what you're doing.
It went out again. Okay, I see it now.
Yep. So I was just going ahead and putting there, you know, I'm working with this new system. And again, thank you. I meant to also say this to Be Live TV for allowing this platform for us to work on here this evening. I was giving them information on joining the movement at checkYourBS.com. That is something that has been very helpful in working with Cory in the past. And
check your BS.
Check your BS, absolutely. Again, I want to make sure that I put up your website if you would like to donate to the CoryJFoundation.org. Thinking back to his events, Canscape, which is his annual back to school event, and he's got something coming up on the 21st, Cory's Kids Community Garden, and he's looking to have volunteers and people to help there as well. So again, thank you all so much for joining us inside of the Mental Spot. Cory, thank you for speaking your truth and giving us some insight on why men can be cautious when they want to make the choice that they're going to take that next step from dating, right?
Boyfriend to
Boyfriend to husband. So appreciate that. Do you have any last words for our viewers?
I just want to say, Shaquan, I really appreciate what you're doing. I remember when you initially started out to where you are right now. I just wanted to give you your props. I want to let everyone know, hey, you've done an amazing job, and you're going to keep doing an amazing job. And for those that are listening, please, if you really want help and you really want to change some things going on in your life, don't hire her. Trust me, it's going to change some things. He going to check you on your BS. That's real. I can remember one particular time she checked me on real quick. I'm like, wait a minute. You don't know me like that, but you right.
You took it so well.
I wanted to I wanted to make sure people knew that this is genuine. This is real. You are the real deal. And I know this for a fact. You going places, man. You're going places.
I appreciate that. And I also want to make one last mention here, because this is a plug. If you are looking for a speaker, yes, for your organization, for your companies, for small groups, please visit my website, CoachShaquanSpeaks.com. It'll tell you more information on how you can utilize and find value in what I have to offer. So again, thank you so much, Cory, for being here. This has been The Mental Spot, a place where men talk about life, love, and leaving the toilet seat up. This is episode 2. I look forward to seeing you all back here. Cory, we'll have to have you back because we got more conversation to talk about.
No problem. And I think one thing I definitely wanted to, I like the questions at the end. And you asked about when's the last time you cried. A lot of guys ain't going to tell y'all that, but I'll tell you that now. I love that. You got to stop lying to yourself, and you better purge more often. Otherwise, you're going to wind up in the hospital.
Yes. Cleanse and release that. Again, that's his whole thing. Maybe we'll do a conversation on the myths, the myths of men, and how, as boys, these maybe some things that you were taught as a boy, and how now that you've transited. Oh, that's good, Shaquan. Oh, Coach, right there.
Oh my God, write that down right now.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you own to something with that. Because I'm telling you, it's men out here that pretend to be tough, and as soon as they watch what's that movie, The Notebook, they breaking down. Worse than women. Yeah, you do that about Notebook, did you? Well, I'm serious though. Some guys, man, they pretend to be tough. I'm serious, and man, they break like tempered glass. For real.
Gotta tell them people, hey, what you say? Check your BS. Yeah. Okay.
Check your BS.
You cry in the dark. Some of them actually do express themselves, which is very healthy in relationships. So absolutely.
It's healthy for them to balance out their emotions, man. A person that can't express themselves or express emotion, a dangerous person.
Oh yes, absolutely. All right, so let's let everyone say thank you again for joining us here inside The Mental Spot. I look forward to seeing you all here next week when I have another special guest. And make sure that you go to The Mental Spot on YouTube, and you can catch some of the previous episodes. And this episode actually will be, for those who are watching on Facebook Live, will be available on YouTube as well, so that you can share with your friends and family for some valuable information. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great evening, and we look forward to seeing you back here next week.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.